Yo, what is up, family? Welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is. We are jumping straight into the top 5 wildest, most crash-out court stories that wrapped up this week. Now look, we gotta talk about these people because the decisions being made out here, absolutely diabolical. I'm talking zero brain cells, pure crash-out behavior, and honestly, just straight up evil. We are counting it down from number 5 all the way to the absolute worst of the worst at number 1. Grab your popcorn, lock your doors, and let's get into how these folks officially fumbled their entire lives this week.
Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe now. Let's get back to the video.
Number 5, the disgraceful dad, Joshua Smith, Maine. The charge, murder. The sentence, facing major time. His sentencing set to be in September.
Joshua Smith, the man charged in the death of his 10-year-old son Braxtyn, changed his plea in Penobscot County Court this morning.
He's now pleading guilty to depraved indifference murder. Earlier this week, Smith requested to change his plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. The state presented a summary of the evidence today, alleging Smith starved, tortured, and abused his son over the course of 2 years. The 35-year-old is one of 3 family members charged in connection with the death of Braxtyn. Assistant Attorney General Leanne Robin detailed data extracted from their phones before Braxton's death.
When Law&Crime reported that Braxtyn was not making progress in his schoolwork, Smith said, quote, "I'm going to kill him." On January 20, 2022, when Law&Crime again reported that Braxtyn was being difficult, Smith responded, quote, "I'm going to kill him."
Some of it was sarcasm and stuff like that, like a lot of the text messages and stuff like that is just, like, nothing ever came of it. Like, in those instances, that's just implied.
Braxton's paternal grandmother, Misty LaTourette, who is also charged in connection to the death of Braxtyn, pleaded not guilty in 2024 and will be headed to trial next week.
We gotta head up to Maine, and honestly, this one is just heavy and disgusting. So there's this dude named Joshua Smith. Back in 2024, his 10-year-old son, Braxtyn, passed away. And let's be entirely real. It wasn't some tragic accident. This little boy suffered through some of the most severe, hateful abuse and neglect you could ever imagine from the very people who were supposed to protect him.
New details in the death of a 10-year-old child.
His parents and grandparent are charged with depraved indifference murder, and today court documents are revealing new details about what happened.
CBS 13's Anna Kuhn is at the live desk. And Anna, what is in these affidavits?
The affidavits describe the interviews that police conducted with Braxtyn's parents and grandmother, showing their history with the child and their recount of the day he died. Braxtyn's mother, Jem Beam, told police that Braxtyn was feeling sick on February 17th, and she and Braxtyn's father called his grandmother to come and help take care of him. That night, all 3 told police they were monitoring his breathing before Jem began to give him CPR, and after a while, they drove him to the hospital on February 18th. He was resuscitated after 25 minutes, but Braxtyn died later that night. In interviews with police, both parents and his grandmother describe a history of restraining Braxtyn, using physical punishment, and issues with Braxtyn not eating. The documents explain that Braxtyn's father, Joshua Smith, admitted to hitting Braxtyn in the head, and his mother described one time that Joshua punched Braxtyn in the stomach and knocked him to the ground. The affidavit shows a text message from Braxtyn's father to his grandmother when he wrote, quote, "Little one is super tired and I'm going to slap him already, so it should be fun." All 3 charged described times when Braxtyn was bound in zip ties. They describe Braxtyn as defiant and say the zip ties were used to restrain him when he was throwing a tantrum. They also say he was zip tied when he was sleeping. They also tell police he often refused to eat, and his grandmother told police she had suggested withholding food from Braxtyn as punishment. Bill Diamond, a former state lawmaker and founder of Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, says the allegations need to be a wake-up call to Mainers.
It's the kind of thing you read about, you know what's happening, and it just makes you sick. And so we have to shine a big light on this so that people know what's going on, and so that this could be stopped.
The medical examiner's office has ruled Braxton's death a homicide and say there were bruising and burn marks on Braxton's body and that his condition was consistent with battered child syndrome. All three were arraigned in court today.
Now, Joshua's original plan to get out of this? He tried to play the crazy card. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, trying to act like he just wasn't in his right mind. But on June 11, 2026, he realized that circus wasn't going to fly in front of a jury. He walked into that Bangor courtroom, abruptly dropped the Insanity Act, and pleaded straight up guilty to murder. Like, bro, you really thought you were going to trick the system after what you did to your own flesh and blood? The math wasn't mathing, and he knew it. Standing up there trying to play crazy when you were just being a straight-up monster? Good riddance. He's sitting in a cell right now waiting for his formal sentencing in September. And honestly, they need to throw away the whole key. No pity over here.
Number 4. The tragic daycare provider, Roxanne Helus. The charge, involuntary manslaughter and felony child abuse. The sentence, 6 years in state prison.
From jail. In November, prosecutors charged Roxanne Helus with second-degree murder and 4 counts of child abuse or endangerment. Police say Elvira stopped breathing while at her home-based daycare on October 22nd. The infant died days later at Children's Hospital in Oakland. At the time, police said Helus was intoxicated while at the daycare. The 5 charges still stand, but Helus's attorney says that during her most recent court date on March 13th, she was released on her own recognizance. Her attorney says it's because of new preliminary findings on the infant's cause of death. We did reach out to the medical examiner's office to learn more, but we have not heard back. Helus was released with several conditions, including an alcohol monitoring device, GPS monitoring, and being banned from operating a licensed daycare.
She is obviously very heartbroken for the family and wants to extend her deepest condolences for the loss of baby Christian. And she's with her family now. She's doing the best that she can be doing, and she's in compliance with all pretrial monitoring conditions.
The next court date is set for June 8th in Manteca. It will be a continued arraignment. The DA's office declined to comment, saying the investigation is still active. We reached out to the Elvira family, and we're now waiting to hear back.
We are heading out to San Joaquin County, California, and this story is just pure rage bait. Roxanne Helus was running a licensed residential daycare out in Manteca. Parents trusted this woman with their actual newborns. But on June 8, 2026, she stood in court and pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and felony child abuse. Why? Because back when a 5-month-old infant tragically passed away under her watch, this woman wasn't just slipping up. She was completely, utterly wasted. We are talking a blood alcohol concentration of 0.29%. For context, that is nearly 4 times the legal driving limit. You are supposed to be watching babies, and you are out here blacked out? Are you actual serious right now, Roxanne? A 0.29%? You weren't just having a casual drink, sis. You were actively trying to leave this planet while holding the lives of people's children in your hands. It's the entitlement for me. Running a whole business, taking people's hard-earned money, and then doing this. She locked in an agreed sentence of 6 years. 6 years! Personally, I think she got off incredibly easy for stealing a baby's entire future. Keep her locked up.
Number 3. The ultimate serial crash-out. Keith Gibson, Pennsylvania to Delaware. The charge? First-degree murder, 4 counts in PA. The sentence? 4 consecutive life terms, no parole. This man had zero regard for human life, and when you look at the sheer path of destruction he left behind across state lines, it will make your stomach turn. The madness actually started way back in 2008 out in Delaware, where he took his very first victim, Stanley Savon Jones. He got caught for that one and did some time for manslaughter, but when he got paroled, things got exponentially worse. In early 2021, he was staying with his own biological mother, Christine Gibson. She was a supervisor at a community center in Philly and tried to help her son out, but she quickly realized he was toxic.
She explicitly told her friends and coworkers that she felt completely unsafe, that she was terrified of her own son and desperately wanted to get away from him. Tragically, she didn't get out in time. On a Monday morning at her workplace, Keith walked in and shot his own mother in the head. Like, how soulless do you have to be to execute the very woman who gave you life? After murdering his mother, he went on a complete rampage. He walked right into a local shop in Germantown and executed two completely innocent customers who were just trying to buy something, Eric Flores and Roy Caban. He shot Eric once in the head and shot Roy twice right in the face for absolutely no reason. Then he bounced back over to Delaware, walked into a Metro T-Mobile store, and attacked a 28-year-old clerk named Leslie Ruiz Basilio. He literally dragged this poor young mother to the back of the store, shot her in the head, stole some cell phones, and took off in her SUV. By June 5, 2021, he was completely out of control. At 5 a.m., he staked out a Dunkin' Donuts in North Philly, waiting for the manager, Christine Lugo, to open up. The second she did, he shoved his way inside at gunpoint, forced her into the office, and made her empty the cash drawers for a measly $300. The surveillance tape is chilling. This man literally checked his watch like he was on a tight schedule, turned around, and shot Christine Lugo in the head before fleeing. Later that exact same day, he drove down to Wilmington, Delaware, where he robbed and murdered Ronald Wright right on the street. He even tried to take out another store clerk, Bilal al-Mansouri, shooting him directly in the head. Miraculously, Bilal survived that gunshot, stood tall through the recovery, and eventually pointed the finger right at this monster in court.
Look at what this waste of space did, family. Ripping away a mother, a son, a young retail worker, a store manager. Just completely destroying entire family trees for pocket change. The Philly district attorney finally closed the book on him for the PA cases on June 10th, 2026, and the judge did not stutter. They handed him 4 consecutive life terms without the absolute lowest mathematical chance of parole. And remember, he's already serving 7 life sentences over in Delaware. You wanted to play a real-life horror villain? Now you get to rot in a cage for the rest of your natural days. And honestly, it's still too good for him. Rest in peace to every single soul he took.
Also tonight at 5, a serial killer is back in court today. He is accused of murdering 4 people, including his mother. Keith Gibson was already sentenced to life in prison back in 2024 after he was convicted of 2 separate murders in Delaware. This all stems from a crime spree back in 2021.
Now the daughter of one of Gibson's alleged victims is opening up. NBC 10's Isabel Sanchez has the very latest from court.
Emotional moments in court today as they show pictures of 2 of the victims, Roy Caban and Eric Flores. Police believe those 2 murders were the first one that led to these 4 charges of murder that Gibson is facing today. We were able to speak with the daughter of Christine Lugo, another one of the victims. She's coming down from Massachusetts to be here for the trial. This is what she had to say.
I deserve to have my day in court where I get to speak on the impact that his choices made on my life, my children's life, my family's life. And I'm sure that the other 3 families of the victims, the other 3 victims are in the same sentiment as me, where we feel our family members deserve to have their day in court, have their story be heard. Because this is not a story about Keith Gibson. This is a story about Christine Lugo and the other 4 victims from Pennsylvania that he decided it was time to end their lives.
Let me take you back to the courtroom. Opening statements mark the start of what could be a lengthy trial. Keith Gibson did not appear in the courtroom. The judge allowed him to watch the proceedings remotely after he raised concerns about his shackles. Prosecutors say Gibson is responsible for 4 murders committed between January and June of 2021. The case began with the death of Roy Caban and Eric Flores inside a Germantown Avenue store. Days later, investigators say Gibson shot and killed his mother, Christine Gibson, at her workplace. Prosecutors also accuse him of fatally shooting Dunkin' manager Christine Lugo during an early morning robbery in Northeast Philadelphia. After opening statements, juror heard testimony from some of the first officers who responded to the Germantown Avenue double homicide, the medical examiners in charge of this case, and some other crime scene personnel that processed the scene. The defense maintains police connected these cases to Gibson without sufficient evidence and failed to conduct a thorough investigation. Gibson is already serving multiple life sentences in Delaware for a separate series of murders and robberies committed in 2021. That includes the killing of T-Mobile employee Leslie Ruiz Basilio. A Delaware judge sentenced him to 7 life terms plus 296 years in prison. Tomorrow, testimony is expected to continue, including family members of Roy Caban, who will be there talking to the jury. I'm Isabel Sanchez, NBC 10 News.
Number 2, the dummy of the year, Tremaine Jones. The charge? First-degree intentional homicide, attempted homicide, and weapons charges. The sentence? Mandated life prison sentence. This one is the definition of doing way too much over absolutely nothing. We are talking about Tremaine Jones, whose trial just completely wrapped up with his sentencing on June 12, 2026. Get a load of this backstory. 2 women were out in the street fighting over the exact same cheating boyfriend. Tremaine decides he needs to insert himself into the drama, pulls out a long-barreled rifle, and starts waving it around, threatening to shoot up the place. Naturally, the neighbors call the cops. Officers Kendall Corder and Christopher McCrae pull up to the scene. By then, everyone had scattered, except Tremaine, who was hiding out in some overgrown bushes in an alley. As the officers approached, Tremaine absolutely lost his mind and unleashed a 16-round ambush. He killed Officer Corder and severely wounded Officer McCrae. But wait, it gets sillier. This man ran away but left his entire life behind in the bushes. I'm talking a backpack containing his actual social security card, his birth certificate, his debit cards, and his employee ID. Bro, you left your actual birth certificate at the scene of an ambush? Did you want them to come pick you up at your house? Like, you are a criminal mastermind failure. And then he gets on the jail phone to his mom, talking about, oh, I thought they were random people from the hood. My reaction was just my reaction out of fear. I mean, shut up. You were standing in a bush with an illegal rifle because of a petty relationship drama that didn't even involve you? You crashed out over a cheating boyfriend's side chick drama, killed a 32-year-old officer, and left your government ID at the scene. The jury found him guilty in 2 hours, and he just got handed a mandatory life sentence. Enjoy the hood inside those prison walls, dummy.
Breaking at this hour, the man convicted of killing a Milwaukee police officer in an ambush-style shooting will spend the rest of his life in prison. A jury convicted Tremaine Jones for killing Officer Kendall Corder 1 year ago in a North Side alley. 12 News' Hannah Hilliard was in the courtroom as that judge handed down the sentence. Hannah?
Well, Deanna, as you know, this has really been an emotional case since the moment it happened almost exactly a year ago. And today here at the courthouse, it was no different. You had the courtroom full of law enforcement officers, including the police chief, as Officer Corder's family made sure the defendant knew who he took away from them. Tremaine Jones walked into court Friday to learn his fate. The 23-year-old convicted in an ambush-style attack last summer that rocked Milwaukee.
He hurt the police department and he hurt the city.
His 16 rounds injuring Milwaukee police officer Christopher McCrae and killing his partner that night near 24th and Garfield, Officer Kendall Corder.
He always wanted to make a difference in this world, and he did.
Corder's family and friends telling the court what a passionate police officer he was.
We lost a mentor. We lost somebody who wanted to do better in the community, see the community grow.
McCrae not speaking in court, instead writing this letter where he credits his late grandma for his willingness to forgive Jones. Quote, "My friends and family may not understand or agree with that decision, but deep in my heart, I know that if I had died that night, my grandmother would have forgiven you too."
I sincerely apologize to you, the courts, the DA, the victims, and the victim's family.
Jones is sitting in silence as his attorney read his statement.
I just wish I could go back in time and change what happened. Although that is not possible.
The only decision before the judge Friday, whether Jones could have the chance to get out on parole.
They went to the danger. You, Mr. Jones, are the danger.
She ultimately decided he would not.
It had to have been difficult to go speak. Why did you want to?
To let him know. I don't think he truly knew who Kendall was. I wanted to let him know that, you know, what you did was senseless.
Hannah, the hearing got off to a late start.
Right, Deanna, about a 25-minute delay. The judge indicating Tremaine Jones was refusing to come out of his jail cell for today's sentencing. Now, his attorney after the hearing telling me the reality of today's sentencing just made him hesitant. Now, along with his life sentence without parole, the judge also ordered Jones to obtain his high school diploma while he's incarcerated.
Hannah Hilliard reporting live for us outside the Milwaukee County Courthouse. Hannah, thank you.
Number 1, the track meet tragedy. Karmelo Anthony, Texas. The charge? Murder. The sentence? 35 years in state prison sentence. The absolute biggest tragedy and crash out of the week happened down in Collin County, Texas. On June 9, 2026, after an intense 8-day trial, a jury officially convicted 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony for murder. This whole situation is just incredibly sad and senseless. Back in April 2025, there was a regional track meet. It was raining, everyone was huddled up under the team tents in the bleachers. A confrontation broke out under one of those tents, and instead of walking away or using his words, Karmelo pulled out a knife and fatally stabbed 17-year-old student athlete Austin Metcalf. Karmelo tried to claim self-defense in court, talking about he was scared, but the jury looked at the evidence, looked at the facts, and said, yeah, absolutely not. They rejected that claim completely and bagged him with a 35-year state prison sentence. A track meet, bro? You brought a knife to a high school track meet? Austin Metcalf had his whole life ahead of him, an athlete, a student, just trying to compete. And you let some petty, brief argument under a tent turn you into a murderer? 19 years old, and you just signed away 35 years of your life to the Texas prison system. You'll be in your mid-50s when you get out. No youth, no prime of your life, all because you wanted to act tough for 2 minutes in the rain. It's devastating for Austin's family. And honestly, Karmelo got exactly what he deserved. Let all of these stories be a reminder to stay out of the drama, keep your hands to yourself, and check your ego at the door, because the state is not playing with anybody in 2026. Let me know in the comments below which of these stories you think was the craziest, and if you think the judges gave them enough time. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.